Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on how to create a blog. It's something very important. It's part of one of our level 4 and 5 programs. And Karen Leingang is going to share some information with us. Karen has been a Toastmaster since April of 2014 and has earned her DTM in 2019. She is currently an active member in 3 different clubs: Toast of Woo, Wash U Medmasters, and Toast of SLU. She has completed 4 paths and is actively working on the other 7. While looking at electives for level 4, she decided to work on create your own blog and became overwhelmed by the project. After hearing that same comment from other people, she volunteered to facilitate a session to help make this project more attainable for herself and to help others. Please join me in welcoming our speaker this afternoon, Karen Leingang. Anyone can blog. Anyone can blog. Karen Leingang.
Thank you. So I'm just going to say, don't feel sorry for me. I have a migraine, so technology is a little bit beyond my capabilities at this moment. So we're going to go the hard way instead of the easy way, as opposed to the pretty way with my presentations. So here we go. Anyone can blog, and I wanted to say it this way because I believe that anything is possible. You just have to be willing to put in a little bit of effort to get there, and that's completely possible for us. When I looked at this project, why don't I start with what is a blog? So according to the definition, a blog is a regularly updated website or web page, typically one ran by an individual or a small group, that is written in a formal or conversational style. Sounds easy, right? Shouldn't be that difficult. But then when I started thinking about this, I'm like, all right, well, why would I want to do a blog? And so some people like this is a great way of communicating and spreading information and news. So you could do a blog about your club. You could do a blog about your small business. That's a good reason. Or another way to share information about with others. So you could have if you made 300 different kinds of homemade ice cream and you're a home ice cream enthusiast, I'm sure you could find other people who would love to know your recipes and find out different ways to make yummy homemade ice cream. The next one would actually be a good reason for me to do it. It would be make me a better writer, because you need your writing skills in work, or it helps you with your speech. But maybe the best reason for all of us is that you get to earn credit for a level 4 project. And even though the become a better writer would have been good for me, this one might actually push me into doing it. All right, so what do you need for this project? You need to write a minimum of 8 posts, and you need to get them on your blog in 1 month. If you're going to blog about your club, please make sure that you take time to get sign off from your club, because you may be talking about Willie's speech and how great it was and how much I learned from it. But maybe Willie doesn't want me sharing that information with the rest of the world. So just be mindful before you do anything that you have people's permission. Okay, now that you have blogged away and you have approval from your club, you need to give a 2 to 3 minute speech about the wonderful experience that you had. And it is going to be wonderful because you're going to be writing about something that you're extremely passionate about. So it's going to be fun. One thing that you can do as an option, that if you go through the path, they have a evaluation form that you can share with your fellow club members and ask them to evaluate your blog. It's no different than the speeches or the other projects that we do. We're just reaching out to them and we're asking for feedback. So often through a program that is offered, I know several people at work have gone through, they keep coming back with the epiphany that feedback is a gift. You know, so when you ask for your club's evaluation and they give you feedback on your blog, you know, if they say great job, that's a gift. If they say you have room for improvement, that too is a gift, because it's an opportunity to grow and to make yourself better. So just remember that this is probably a good thing to do because it's only going to help you improve. All right. So here's where my overwhelmness began. 5 steps to starting a blog. Choose a blog platform. Okay, there's a gazillion out there, and I'm not sure I really want to spend a lot of money to get a level 4 credit. Okay, I'm willing to do it, but I'm not sure how much money. And then they talk about choose web host. All right, so this kind of sounds a little bit technical to me. What do I need to do? And this sounds like research. How to set up a blog domain. Again, I'm beginning to think, I don't know if I have that many technical skills, and quite frankly, this project isn't looking that important to me anymore. Design a blog. Oh, I'm not creative. I missed the unlocking creativity session earlier today. So again, I'm at a disadvantage. Write a blog. Oh, I could probably handle this one. Okay, and I'm going to give you some resources at the end to help you. So, all right, but we said this session was that anyone can write a blog. So all of my overwhelmness has to go out the window, right? We're going to move forward and we're going to be successful. All right, so there are many different platforms out there for you to look at. Don't let it get to you. They're easy to break down into 3 groups. One is ease of setup. If you're a very technical person, this really isn't going to matter to you. And maybe for some of you, the technical aspect of setting up a blog is going to be the most fun part of it. I know people like that. I'm not one of them. Some of you are going to look for an option to earn money from the site. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this is if you're trying to promote your own business or you're trying to get into a business, this is a great way to go. But for me, I'm probably going to write my 8 blog posts and be done with it. So this is not a consideration for me at all. So when I turn around at the end of this and say, here's the website, the platform I picked, be mindful that I'm not thinking about the future. I am thinking just about this project. And that's another thing you need to think about. How long do you want to write this blog? Oops, sorry. And flexibility to grow. Now, when I mean flexibility to grow, I'm going to talk about free platforms in about a minute, and that's a great way to put your toe in the water. But if you find it out that it's something that you're really good at and you have a following, a free platform may not be where you want to start, because you got to think about, you're going to want to write more. You got how much storage you have. What do you want to put on your blog? So be mindful of that. Don't take the easy way out just to get a level 4 project in, if that is what your real goal is. Also, when they talk about if you're on platform X and it doesn't have all the bell and whistles that program Y does, you can, there's a possibility of migrate your blog from X to Y, but you need to look into your flexibility and your functionality of your platform to see how well it can migrate to the next world. So there's a ton of free platforms out there for you. I looked into some of these and there's more platforms than even what I have listed here. Some of these are at various different levels of complexity. Some of them have a got you in them. They're free, but they're free because you don't own the domain. It's owned by the company. Like for Weebly, Weebly will own your domain. And Weebly's also going to put ads onto your platform. So it's going to be Weebly advertisement, not Willy Blue advertisement on the product that he wants to sell. So I think that's a really big thing to keep in mind. Out of the ones that I looked at, Wix and WordPress.org were the ones that were the most recommended. And I went through like 12 different sites. So there's positives and negatives to both of those. Wix, when you start off with it, and I'm sorry if the print's a little small, you have a wide range of templates. So you don't have to do a lot of designing. You can go in, pick out a template you want, what's going to suit your blog, and you have everything done for you just by picking that template. This is scalable over time, but I just want to say too that you need to be mindful of what scalable over time means. Scalable, but over time is going to mean you're going to go from a free platform to a paid platform, but you are able to migrate. The other thing that it does give you is an SEO, and what that means, what that is a search engine optimization. Now, I've already kind of talked that I'm not the social media guru here. But for all of you that are, this SEO is what the things you can do to make your blog, give it a higher presence. So when people go and search for a blog of homemade ice cream, my blog would be on the top. This SEO is going to help me. It's also a all-in-one solution. And this is what I really like, because it's going to knock out 3 of those 5 steps that you need to do to set up a blog. It's going to choose your platform. It's going to help you design it, and it's going to host it for you. And that is why I'm kind of suggesting this to you if you're only interested in the level 4 program, project, because it's going to help get you going and get you going quick. The other thing too is it offers an ADI, and that is an artificial design intelligence. So it's a set of questions that it's going to ask you about what your purpose is, and it's going to take your answers and throw out some options for you to choose as a template. So this is really, you don't even have to go through over 500 ready-made templates to pick it out. This is going to narrow it down and give you a small selection to choose from. Sorry about that. And as I mentioned earlier, it's going to include Wix ads. It's going to have limited storage. Once you pick a template, you're stuck with that template. You better love that template because you're not going to change it, which might be a reason why not to use the ADI template that chooses it for you, but just keep that in mind. It is difficult to migrate. If you want to make money off your blog, this is not your blog because this is not the platform because you are using Wix advertisement, and you also only have 500 megabytes of storage. Any questions about Wix? All right. Now
I have a question on you.
Yeah.
Edwin. On the if you go with this one for the for our level 4 project, can we also have additional ones that you can get, or if you sign in for one, you have to stick with it? I mean, like if I want to do a paid one, so I want to monetize it or something, would I be able to do that as well? They won't have any
Yeah,
restrictions on you?
no, there shouldn't be any restrictions on it. It's kind of, you know, once you pay for it, you're paying for the service, and then you're going to own your domain name and everything. So this is really, to me, this is just something I would consider doing to dip my toe in. But you do bring up a good point, Willie, that I want to bring up, and thank you for the reminder, is that I was also in my research, I found where they said it's, if you really want to go into this and you really want to see it through and you want to monetize it, then a free platform like this really isn't the way to go, because Wix is going to own your blog and they can choose to delete it. So if I'm writing my blog, I'm writing it twice a week. I'm doing this for over 6 months. All of a sudden I break my arm. I can't type. I have encountered difficulties, and for whatever reason, I don't blog for another 6 months. Wix can choose to delete my blog because it's been dead. It hasn't been active. So if you're really looking to monetize or to use it for business, I would not recommend this platform. I would not recommend the free version of this platform.
Karen, another question.
Yes.
If I start on Wix and then decide I want to go professional, can I move my domain from Wix to one of the paid platforms? Or do I have to create a new domain because Wix won't let go of it?
So if you were to go from a Wix free to a Wix paid, then it would be much easier to migrate it.
Okay.
And the migration from one platform to a paid platform, you know, like from Wix free to, say, a Blogger paid, it just depends on the compatibility. And basically, a lot of these do not migrate very easily.
So if I create art.com on Wix, I can't do art.com on one of the higher powered, got to pay from the beginning sites. I got to go with ernst.com.
Okay, so on the free platform, you don't get to pick your domain. It will be Wix, whatever. They're going to own it.
Okay.
Once you pay for your domain, then you're hosting it and so forth, and then the engine behind it isn't as just depending on compatibility of the two platforms, then migration becomes easier, but you would still own art.com.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I just want to say that by large, the most recommended free platform was WordPress.org. It's a huge community. It's very customizable. It's easy to monetize. It allows for growth, and you have ownership of it, which is what Art and I just had discussion about with the domain and so forth. All right. But there's cons. That very customization and easy to monetize means there's a learning curve behind it. So you're going to need some technical skills, and they do have a website, but you're going to have, if you're not a technical person, you're going to have to be willing to put in time. Okay. And that, so it's for the learning curve and the time to build the site. You'll get some templates, but it's not going to be like a plug and play template. It's not going to be 90% of the way done for you. And to hit for Art's point, they say this is it's free because your platform is free. You're not paying for the cost of the platform, but you are going to have to self-host it, and you're going to also have to pay for your domain name. So those are two expenses you're going to have. And the other thing too that you're going to have knowledge about is you're going to have to manage the own security for your site. And you're going to have to do your own backups, and you're going to have to do your own updates of software. So and if you're a technical person, and if that's something you like to do and something you like to learn, then I go for it. But if you're just, again, if you're looking for an easy way to get your level 4 project going, this may be more than what you want to do. Okay. And really, again, I'm not trying to help you become a millionaire being a blogger. I'm really trying to help you to realize that if you want to do that blogging project, you have options. All right, so we're going to go to Wix, and Wix is right here. You go to create your own website. And let me go ahead and see if I can. So here we are. You can go down and it's going to say templates. See all website templates. I went ahead and picked your blog templates, and you can go through, you can pick personal blogs, you can figure out which type of blog you want to write, and you're going to be able to see the different templates involved for that. And my whole thing here is I just really want to kind of go through that. When you have templates available, you can go ahead and you can scroll through these, and you can pick one that that is in the type. When I say type, like news, business, art, to find one that is going to match what you want to write about without you putting a lot of time into the design. When it asks you to create, if I were to go back here and say get started, it's going to ask you for your email, and it's also going to ask you to set up a password. Okay. From that starting point, you are going to be asked these questions. What kind of website you're creating? It's going to give you a multiple choice. It's going to ask you what the name of your business is. So be prepared to know ahead what you want for that. It's going to ask you what your goals for the website are. So one, are you trying to make money? Are you doing it for an organization? Are you sharing recipes? Then it's going to ask you what you want to add to your website, like contact page, an about me page. Have you created a website before? And then it's going to, at this point, you can go pick out one of those many templates I showed you, or it's going to ask, hey, do you want to let that artificial design intelligence ask you some more questions, and you pick out your template? So if you decided to do that, it's going to give you 4 more questions to ask. And then, lo and behold, it is going to, ta-da, I now have Karen's blog project. I am ready to go. I am ready to start figuring out how I want to set up my blog. So, I mean, there wasn't any coding. There wasn't any trying to figure out my security. I now have a template that I can start writing my blog, and when I have it set up, I can publish it, and I've got my first blog out of the way. Okay. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. I just want to say a blog is possible. You do not need all the technical skills. Okay, now we have our site. Now we need a topic. What are we going to write about? And we also need a name. Now, I would suggest if you're going to go through Wix, you would think about your name before you went and set up your page. Otherwise, you're going to get a bad name like Karen's Blog Project. Nobody's going to be interested in Karen's Blog Project when they go Googling for blogs. So your topics, you can write about your life experiences. You can have like lessons learned, or if you're like a fireman, you can write about different fires that you, different fires you fought about and things that could have been different that could have saved a home. You can write about a personal blog, things that are important to you. Hobbies and passions. So level 4 would be a great place for me to write about the passions of Toastmasters and how much it has helped me out. All right, now that you know your topic, or once you know your topic, pick the name for your blog and have it descriptive. So if I were to say I'm writing about Toastmasters, I could say why Toastmasters, how Toastmasters helped me, or something to that effect. But go ahead and make sure it's a descriptive name. Make people want to click on it and to open it up. Okay, now we're also going to talk about content type. When you see this, you're going to have static content type that's not going to change. The about me. And granted, this may change if, say, you want to brag about how your blog got you a great promotion at work. Yeah, I would definitely update it at that point. But mostly the about me is going to be my name and why I'm writing this blog. Also, if you're trying to monetize it, or if you're trying to get people into an organization, you're going to have a contact me. And this is going to be where people reach out to you and ask you questions. Or they may tell you how great you are, or they may tell you how to improve. Remember, feedback is a gift. Also, there's dynamic, and this is where your blog content's going to be. So just really quick, let me see, hopefully I do have a blog I want to do. I'm going to talk blogging basics 101. You want to talk about a name? This is telling you exactly what you want to know for all about blogging. And here is the static. This is going to be the name of the person, and you're going to be able to learn about them. And there's also going to be a place in here, the contact me. So this is your static contact, and here's your home page, and here's the different blogs that she's been writing about. I can't say that I find this to be the most attractive page, but I can say it hits the point of being basic 101. Any questions? Okay. Okay, so now we're going to talk about your writing your content. Define your title. So as I just briefly showed here, her title is How to Make Money from Your Blog. It's descriptive. It's a title that's going to catch your eye and it's going to get you to click on it. Or some of the other ones, like choosing a blogging niche, helping you figure out what topic you want to write about and how you can stand out amongst the other people. So when you're thinking of the title of your blog, think of it that way. The longer, the better, but break it up. Think about for those of you who are still having the privilege of getting work emails and you open up a work email and it's just a 10-inch long paragraph, how excited are you going to be to read that? But what if they took that 10-inch paragraph, took the exact information, put it into maybe 1.5 or 2 inches bullet points? And so it's easier for you to digest the information. It can keep your attention a little bit longer. It's not as painful. Or maybe you can lessen that into bullet points and then give a little description beneath it. Your blog is going to be the same thing. You want to have the information there, but you don't want it to look like you have no clue of topics and ideas. You also want to engage your reader. Maybe you want to end it with a question. You want whatever your topic is about. Maybe on my homemade ice cream blog, I can say, and please tell me what your favorite ice cream was while you were growing up. This way I'm asking you to give me feedback. I'm asking you to contact me and to help me think of my next blog. Be original. You don't want to go and plagiarize off somebody else's blog. Now, I have leaned heavily on other people's content to come up with this presentation. I'm just saying that goes back from being a beginner and I want to do my level 4 project. I'm leaning heavily on others to tell me what I need. And that's okay for a presentation. And I'm going to give the credit at the end, but that's not really what you want to do for a blog because you're not setting yourself apart from anybody else. Photos. I don't like to take photos. And a lot of times if I'm looking for something, I'll just go Google it and pull up image off the web. But really what you want is your own photos. You want to have you want a connection to it so that you can go, you're advertising you and your ideas and your passion. If I'm going to do a picture of a dog, I want my dog. I don't want any old dog because I love my dogs and I want you to know how beautiful they are. Also, lastly, very important, edit your work. I am notorious for typos. And if you participated in the Kahoot quiz this morning, you saw my typos. I usually have somebody edit something for me before I put it out for public consumption. So please do this, and it's going to make you look professional. Because if you have all the typos in it, no matter how good your content is, nobody's going to give you the time of the day because they're not going to think that you know what you're talking about because you couldn't even finish get a typo. All right. And it looks like this is to make my point. Here you go. I have a duplicate slide. So evidently I did not edit my work. All right. So here's the last thing I meant to do is the only thing that is different about this slide is publish. So once you have written up all of your blog, make sure that there's going to be a little publish button that you click that button so it goes out to the world. Because otherwise it's a great product that only you are going to be able to see. And I have resources that I looked in that I used. I gave you the Wix homepage, so you can go look at the different templates if that is the way you choose to go. I've also given some of the ideas from the Blogging Basics 101 page. And I also gave you the link for most of the content that was in this presentation. And I can drop that in the chat if you would like to have it, at least if nothing else, to just to have something to review when trying to decide if that's what you would like to do. Are any questions or comments?
Question, Karen,
Yes.
in the pathways training, did they mention brand, protecting the brand if you choose to blog about your Toastmasters experience?
So it just general information. There is our Toastmasters International website, a link about branding. And if you are going to do anything Toastmaster wise, I would strongly urge that you go there and look at it. And let me see if I can get to the Toastmasters site, see if it pulls up. Resources.
Brand
Yeah.
portal, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna show you, but I wanted to make sure I had it before you got to see me fumble my way through it. So it's under resources, brand portal, and there's a brand manual. And if you go through the brand manual, it'll open it up, and here it'll talk about the different color palettes that are acceptable. I don't know how long it's going to take to open up. Okay, I got to download it. But it gives you quite a bit of information as to what is acceptable, such as colors, what kind of logos you can use. If you're going to use a Toastmaster logo, you should not enhance it in any shape or form. If you think it would look great with purple colors instead of blue, they're not going to be happy about that. So I would definitely go to the brand template and walk your way through it, and it's going to give you the colors. And even when they give you the colors, let me just find it. So here's your logos, here's your acceptable logos in the watermark, and here they tell you my nice green logo here is not acceptable. It just isn't. Toastmasters is not going to be happy with it. So don't just stick to the regular ones that they show you. And here's what I wanted to get to mostly. Here's your primary colors, and they give you gradient colors. But I want to show you right here. I don't know if you can see it, but if you do open up the brand manual on your own, you will see that it gives you the hex number for the color. So you don't have to hold it up next to each other or go through a color wheel and say, it's a little too light, or no, no, they give you the hex color and other information about it. Your red, green, blue saturation, it gives you those things so that you can use the exact color. You can just take this information and you can plug it in when pulling up your color. It's going to make life a lot easier, because I've tried it the other way before I could get figured out the hex colors. It is not pleasant. All right. Any other questions?
Yes,
Yes.
if you can promote Toastmasters without making any changes, as long as you're not putting any logos or anything on it, you can promote it, telling about how it helped you in your life journey. You could do anything like that. Okay.
Exactly. You can do that. But as far as if you were going to use any of the logos or anything, the branding stuff.
Does the fact that you're mentioned that it's a Toastmasters experience trigger the brand protection?
That is a great question. I would not think so.
Okay.
I'd like to ask if you could post your blog link so we can read your blog.
Well, that's a great question, but I haven't gotten that far.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest, I'm just putting my PowerPoint into the chat. So I'm going to tell you that I spent 3 months looking at the different sites and what I wanted to use. And I kept going back and arguing over them and everything else. And the only reason why I ended up picking a site was because I had this presentation. Otherwise, I would still be picking sites, just to be honest. So that is one thing that I would suggest that you would do, is give yourself a timeline. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I am a person who, if I have an open-ended project, like, oh, I'm going to do a blog someday, that someday is never, ever going to come. It just isn't. But if I go, Art, I want you on May 6th of 2023 to read my blog, and it's going to be there, and I want you to give me an honest answer or an honest opinion, my blog will be done by May 6th, 2023. So that's just a comment on me, maybe not everybody else, but if you have a pie in the sky dream, it's always going to be a pie in the sky. So go ahead and make sure that you have a date for this. And now that I've done all this research, and now that I set up a site, I will be doing my blog. I just need to come up with my topic, and I'm going to get it done. I'm halfway through my level 4 project. I got to keep it going. The one tip, I forget, I don't know if Andrew's still aren't here or not, but Andrew made the comment, and I just want to share it, is that he mentioned that he had some downtime, so he's been writing his blog content. So when he gets to this point of setting up his blog, he's going to have all 8 of his blog posts ready to go. So he's going to be able to schedule it, and he's going to get it done, and he's going to meet the timeline. And that's what you can do too. If you're going to blog, hey, if you have a great idea right now, go ahead, write your blogs now. The rest of the stuff can wait till later. It can wait till you have more time to make sure you get it put out there. And Yolanda, I did drop my PowerPoint presentation in the chat, so that should give you all the resources. If you can't download it, please let me know. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, how many of you are going to go start working on your blog now? We have at least, oh, look at you guys go.
Me too. I already have 2 blogs.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
Cheryl, why don't you share, if you don't mind, why don't you go ahead and share some links
Oh,
in the
okay.
chat, and that would be a great
People probably don't want to read them because they're technical, but I'll post it.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And Yolanda, please put your email in the chat, and I'll send you the PowerPoint. And Paula said the same.
And do you know if Wix does vlogs as well? Can you do a video blogs, or is that part of it?
I think it probably does. I can't answer that exactly. I didn't really look into it that much, because I couldn't see myself being ambitious enough to do a video blog. I'm sorry. I'm just being.
Do you know if that's acceptable for the blog project, though, having it a video rather than a written one?
If you do a video, doesn't that make it a podcast?
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a podcast project in there too. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Karen's the expert, so she should have the final say.
No, Karen's not the expert, But yeah, I would have said that's you can do a video blogging. So it kind of depends what your content is.
I also don't think podcasts are necessarily videos. If you go online and, get a podcast, it's just like a radio program someone's put together. It's not a video blog
Yes.
necessarily.
Known as a vlog. Darren, you want to add to it a little bit?
Just that there is a separate word for a video blog. It's known as a vlog. The idea is probably predates how popular podcasts became.
Yeah. You're most likely correct. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or want to share their experiences? I'm writing email addresses, but Cheryl, I know you're a technical person.
Yeah.
I would love to know, what is your platform?
I put it in the chat, but for one blog, I use WordPress and I host it myself. And also the link you gave, wordpress.org, that's for the software itself. WordPress.com is a hosted WordPress site. So you could go to wordpress.com and host it there.
Yeah.
So WordPress.com is where people should go if they want the easy route.
Yeah, I think they did talk about that too, that they're two different things. And I think the .org is where you find the host, and like you just said, the .com is a host. That's the way they
.org is really the homepage of the software for the developers of the software, where you can download the software and so on. And then you can host it anywhere. You can go to any host and put your WordPress site on it, if you know how. That's the thing, you have to know how. That's why I would say go to wordpress.com and they make it easy, but it's restricted. They don't give you all the capabilities of WordPress, but that's okay if you're a beginner.
If you had your choice, Cheryl, I'm sorry, this is Makeda. If you had your choice, would you do Weebly or Wix for those of us who are not, who would rather have it all set up nice and pretty for us? don't.
Yeah, I have never used Wix, so I really can't comment on it.
Okay.
Yeah, what I was reading is that for those who are non-technical, and there is a paid version of Wix and Weebly as well. And it's both of them are basically drag and drop.
Yeah, I've used actually both of them, and I probably will have to do WordPress because it's very limited, and I canceled the subscription. I think it was to Wix, and it was very hard to get them to stop billing my credit card.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It wasn't a great experience, but I mean, great website though. Great.
Yeah, and I just thought for free, for 8 blogs, it's not as much. You don't have to be as technical. Evelyn.
Is the Today Data, how did you pay for that, and was that easy to use? Was that free?
Oh, todaydata.com is my own domain name, and that's a domain. I've hosted it in different places, like I'm hosting it now on smarterasp.net. But if you, the blog.todaydata.com, that's using WordPress, and I put it on a different host than my other site, todaydata.com. So blog.todaydata.com is a subdomain of todaydata.com, and they're on 2 different hosts.
So you said that you used WordPress and another one. Which other one did you use? I think you said you had 2.
For my homepage on todaydata.com, I actually wrote the software to create the blog.
Okay.
And I wrote a blog on how to do that. You can. I mean, you don't have to use, like if you use a content management system like WordPress, it makes it really easy to create a blog. In fact, if you install WordPress, then when you go to create your pages, it'll ask you, do you want a page or do you want a post? If you say a post, then it's a blog. And if you want a page, it's not a blog. And if it's a post, then it's dated and everything like a blog where it's like, you know, people can see the date on it and everything.
Yeah.
Now, out of curiosity, is Facebook considered a blog, or do people blog on that instead of going through all of this to do that, or how does that work?
Facebook is a social media platform. It's different from a blog.
To add on that, and I know we have a social media person on this call, Ms. Darlene, but I have also was looking at if you're a business, if you're trying to advertise your business stuff, you could use LinkedIn as a blogging platform.
That's
So
also actually considered a social media platform. Sounds like Cheryl would be great at teaching this class. Is that who's been teaching this?
But I'm great at what?
I went through our demystifying it on how to get a free platform, where to find resources,
Awesome.
and
I'll have to watch the replay. I had to do my training in the other room, so I just thought I'd hop in the tail end, just listen in.
yeah, and then just kind of ideas, you know, what kind of things that you should think about when making your content. But yeah, Cheryl would have been the go-to person, but the whole idea was to say, you have a level 4, you need 8 posts in a month, you need a platform, and that you can spend a whole lot of time being overwhelmed about a platform. And there are, if you're just looking to do the project, there are free platforms out there.
Well, she could just, yeah, so you guys mentioned the WordPress, Blogger, and yeah, all those would be,
Wix.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know, but I believe there's a way to do it through your free Toast host.
So that might be something to look into.
No, I'm pretty sure there's no way to blog on free Toast host.
I thought I saw something where the members could actually start. I don't know. I'd have to look and see. There might be a way to actually integrate that in there somehow. That would be an easier way for them. And if we could find a way to have that free Toast host have that content, because it's all about content, and that's how all the search engines will start picking it up.
You could post web pages on free Toast host. You could create custom web pages.
So that could be
a blog
like a blog post.
Not exactly the same. A blog,
not exactly the same.
Technically, a blog follows a certain format. There's a certain format it follows. Some people might call other things a blog, but really a blog has to follow a certain format. And you can't do that with free Toast host. You could create web pages. That's why I was saying, like in WordPress, it gives you the option. Do you want a page or do you want a post? If you say post, it follows the format for.
Yeah, and the nice thing about doing a blog that in the official way is that it's searchable, right? So you can plug in and have all your categories and all the, and then comments section as well, like on the blog post itself, you know, open it up for some comments. Yeah.
That's one of the things most blog software does, is it gives you an option to allow comments.
That's great.
Darren, you have your hand raised.
I know this is going off topic, but just giving how the last year went and who was using free Toast host, or at least my advice for my club is I actually don't want people on free Toast host, or I don't want to send them to free Toast host, because I already know that people are on other social media platforms. I want to be on the other social media platforms.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they're more public. All right.
Folks, we're starting to really run long on time here right now. Evelyn, you had your hand up a few minutes ago. Do you have one last thing to say?
No, I'm finished. Thank you.
You're good. Okay. Karen, unless there's anything else, we probably should wrap this up because we're about 10 to 12 minutes over now. And I think we had a great session. Karen, thank you so much for your time. And again, this was Karen Leingang on Anyone Can Blog. And Thank you for being here.